everyone, what's going on? This is Mike from the Terra Battle and today we're taking a look at floor traps and hazards. Floor traps and hazards include a number of things, spikes, bombs, ooze, lava. Basically it's anything that you encounter on the map that's going to do damage if you move through it. So we're going to take a quick look here at spikes first, and this will be Chapter 6, Episode 4. And we're going to get through the text here. And yeah, so as you can see in the middle of the map here, we have this sort of LS-shaped pattern of spikes. And spikes, as you might imagine, are going to damage you when you walk over them. We're going to have Ethereal down here take one for the team. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So, yeah, we moved through 3 things of spikes there, and we took damage 3 times, as you might imagine. Spikes can't really be removed from the map. These are going to be on the map for the duration of the fight, no matter what, so you're always going to kind of have to move around them. And as you can see here, we're dealing with an enemy that does sort of knockback attacks, which means they move you around when you get hit. And that can be dangerous, as it can knock you into the spikes. If you move onto a plate of spikes and continue standing there at the end of your turn, you're actually going to take damage at the start of your turn, as you can see just happened there. So you definitely want to try and make sure that your units aren't ending up on the spikes at the end of the turn, or they're going to take more damage at the start. Again, like a lot of the floor traps, the damage that they do isn't necessarily like crippling or crazy. If you have to move through the spikes to move a unit into place, definitely do it. It's not a huge deal. But if you are on a map that has a lot of enemies and a lot of spikes and you're having a hard time, get a character like Zafit, the support character here. We'll give you a quick demonstration of what she can do. So she just used an ability called Levitation. She gets, I believe, that at level 15. And what Levitation does, as you can see, is that all our units are now floating. When they're floating like this, they're actually immune to floor traps. You'll notice that Camper, our sort of Frost Mage here, didn't take any damage at the start of the turn, despite the fact he was standing on spikes, because he now has Levitation. In fact, see, we can totally move for free over all these spikes with no problem. So yeah, if you're dealing with a map with a lot of spikes, grab yourself a support character to levitate. It'll make your life a lot easier. So having just talked about spikes, we're going to move on to ooze now. We can find ooze in Chapter 6, Episode 5, I believe. And this is, ooze kind of functions like spikes do, in that they're going to take up space on the floor, and when you walk over them, it's going to do damage to you. But unlike bombs, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it's going to stay there on the floor, and it actually can't be removed. So yeah, the cyber mummies here, you can see, have this sort of orangey splotch between them. This orangey splotch is the ooze, and, as an example, as if you needed one, we're going to take damage every time we move through it in any direction, and we'll again take damage from it at the start of our turn if we're still standing on it. So yeah, the enemy's going to take his turn here, knock us around a bit. And you see, actually, we took a lot of damage there because he used a knockback attack, and the knockback attack actually knocked us into more ooze. So as a result, we take damage from the attack, and we take additional damage from being knocked through one ooze and into another. So that can actually get dangerous really quick. These later levels really kind of rely on floor traps and hazards, in addition to enemies that can move you around. So yeah, things aren't looking good for the archer there, but like we illustrated before, we can give ourselves a pretty big advantage here just by activating Levitation. And now with Levitation activated, we're going to stop taking damage from the ooze that the cyber mummy's doing. See, that probably just saved us there, since I think the ooze damage easily would have killed Opari the archer here. But fortunately, because of Levitation, he's able to go over the ooze without being damaged. So yeah. We'll try and wrap this up real quick here. And see, the damage we take, again, is not too severe, but it really starts to add up once you are getting knocked through it by knockback attacks and into other enemies. But yeah, ooze functions pretty much like spikes. Try and avoid it as best you can. Use Levitation if you're having issues. But don't be afraid to go through it when you need to get everyone where they need to go. Alright guys, thanks a lot for listening, and we're going to move on to bombs. Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Mike from the Terra Battle again, and we're continuing our look at floor traps and hazards, and we're going to take a look at bombs right now. We've got Chapter 5, Episode 4 here. We're going to have a bunch of bomb enemies in here, mostly blastosaurs, which are all bomb enemies. So this will give us a good chance to see how bombs work. So yeah, we have the 2 enemies here, and as you can see, when they move, they create a trail of 3 bombs behind them. We'll take a look at what happens when you hit over these bombs right now. If you are guessing that it's going to hurt us, you are correct. So yeah, 96 damage each for each one of those bombs, and as we move over them, you can see that the bombs do damage and explode, but they also disappear for that turn. The problem is, when the enemy's turn happens, this enemy moves and generates another trail of 3 bombs behind him. Notice that it caps off at 3. Enemies really can't have more than 3 at this level. But yeah, if an enemy with bombs stays in place after you've either run through all its bombs or disabled them, then you're generally going to not have to worry about it. If you can pinch a bomb enemy into the corner or the wall, you can actually really limit their ability to produce bombs. Another way to get around bombs is by using support characters. We have a support character in our team here, Zafit, on the right, and she has an ability called Disarm Bomb. And Disarm Bomb does exactly what you might think it does. So here we go. Oops. But yeah, as you can see, Zafit is able to move freely through all those bombs, and as she moves through them, she manages to disable them as well, which is a pretty huge advantage. So we're going to use that to our best advantage here. We're going to miss that attack, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll go ahead and see if we can make up for it. Alright, and since Zafit isn't involved in the battle here, actually one of her other skills called Levitation just activated. Levitation is a super useful skill if you're looking to get around floor traps and hazards. As you can see, all our characters are now floating, and a floating character cannot be hurt by things like spikes or lava or ooze or things on the ground. This does not include bombs though, as you can see. We run through them there and still take damage even though the character has levitation on him. So please bear that in mind, that levitation is only going to affect you against spikes, ooze, and other kind of floor-based traps. So yeah, we'll go ahead and finish this match off here. But yeah, bombs generally not too hard to get around. They do solid but not crippling damage, so if you have to run through one to get into position, plan ahead and maybe have your healer ready to go. But it's something that you can definitely deal with. And if you're having a hard time with it, get yourself a support character like Zafit with Disarm Bomb, and she'll, make it a lot easier for you. Alright, thanks a lot for listening, guys, and make sure to check out terrabattle.wikia.com.